We are here to awaken your health, and I am Julie Murphy, and you can find me on juliemurphy.com.
And I am the spiritual bodybuilder, and you can find me at spiritualbodybuilder.com or right here on Instagram and Facebook. So thank you guys for jumping on and joining. And, you know, yeah, fuck Corona is right. We are going to get into a really deep, look, there's some deep shit going on here, guys.
There is incredibly deep stuff going on right now.
Yeah. And you know, me and Julie were talking a little bit, and, you know, we kind of came to the conclusion that like the idea of like sort of wealth and finances is sort of on the back burner for everybody right now because of all this other stuff that's coming up. Everybody's purging.
Well, and you know, it kind of goes to what you were just saying that, you know, what coronavirus, what quarantine. It's like we forgot about that, and we forgot about all our money problems because now we have a third layer.
Right. Exactly. So, you know, if you don't see that there's a very structured orchestration going on right here. But the interesting thing is that we have the internet now, as opposed to 50, 100, 200, 500 years ago. They didn't have the interconnectivity that we have now, right?
True that.
So we are able to utilize this platform to be able to share and show that, hey, look, this is bullshit, right? Yeah. And so being able to communicate and to connect, we're able to really look at what's going on in all these other places and to be able to call out like all these games. It's a freaking game, and it's really sad and unfortunate. And seeing all this making my heart hurt, man.
Can we be fair about this? That I don't necessarily feel like so many people feel like it's a game because, you know, honestly, whatever it is, that an emotional state that you are in, because what it boils down to, we all as human beings have trauma that we've dealt with, you know, and some people's traumas are way more severe than others, you know, and I'll always talk about that. My trauma when I was sexually molested by a Catholic priest when I was like 4 or 5 years old, you know, that was my trauma, right? So our traumas are stuck right here in our amygdala. Right? They're right here in the back. Right. And so what's happening is whatever your trauma is, and it could just be that somebody treated you really bad as a child or whatever that was, or just somebody could have said something the wrong way. And every time somebody talks to you that way, it now triggers you the same way because that physical response system is stuck in your brain, and it's a groove in your brain. Responds the same way, even though it has nothing necessarily to do with that moment in time. Because I know when people react about their money stuff, it really has nothing to do with their money. It has to do with the past trauma. And my job is to really help them get to what that is and work through it.
And it's the same thing with health too, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
That's why we're so correlated.
Yeah, different people just act it out in different ways.
They really do.
And now, right now, everything that is being perpetuated is activating this fight or flight system in our brain.
Yeah.
So everyone that has not faced their own shit, they're acting it out. They're projecting it onto the world, and we're seeing it everywhere.
Right.
Unfortunately, but
you know, and bless everyone's heart, it's a ton of pain, right? Like, and nobody. I inherently don't feel like people are bad people. No. Like, but we're all dealing with, I really believe what has happened here is that every unresolved emotional thing that you have going on is coming to the surface.
Oh, yes.
And you know, it's like, you really just have to like come up and out and come up and out. You gotta let that stuff come up and out. I just would hope and pray that more people would have it come up and out in healthier ways, you know, to where it's not destructive to other people.
Well, and, you know, we also have to think about too, that, you know, the ego or like the darker energies, they're always louder at first, right? Like pain is louder at first. The healthier or higher vibration is normally quieter, but has more longevity. So there are a lot of people out there that are calling this shit out and that are, you know, saying, hey, look, guys, like this is orchestrated. This is what's going on. That's what's going on, doing what we're doing. Okay. But it's not like the mainstream media is not covering it. Like we're not covered in a massive sense However, when people are ready to experience this, then they go seek it out. And I think that that is getting slowly but surely a more traction in the process, right?
Yeah, right. And you know, I hate to say this, but I really truly believe that this is just the beginning of people. You know, I was talking today on one of my Facebook Lives that sadness is underneath anger and anger is underneath rage.
100%.
And from an emotional level, what happens is that when we're feeling rage or we're feeling anger, it's really deep sadness. And I was talking about how in my past I remember a moment when I was sitting here going, what am I sad about? What am I sad about? And I just kept asking the question because I was watching myself get angry, and a few times I got to a place of rage. And really, as I kept asking the question, that allowed and created the space for that emotion to come up and out, and I could just then feel the feelings, because so much of the solution to this is us just feeling our feelings, because we've stuck it down, we've chalked it up, we've marched on, we freaking like kept going. And it's like, yeah, feel our feelings. That is really the only way out of whatever is going on inside. Now, yes, there's plenty of external things that need to change.
Right. Yeah, of course. But
you can only control your inner world.
And it's interesting you say that, because I saw this video yesterday where it was this black man talking. He was a 30-year-old black man, and there was a 44-year-old black man, and then there was a 16-year-old black teenager. And the 44-year-old black man was basically like exhausted, like, I can't do this shit anymore. Like, let's just go kill these people, right? Then the 31-year-old was like, look, dude, that's not the way. Like, that hasn't worked in the past. We've seen it over and over and over again. We got to find a better way. And then he was talking to the 16-year-old saying, look, your generation needs to do something. Your generation needs to change. The fact is that it's all of us. But the older we get, the more crystallized we get in our belief systems, right? So all of this is a projection of our own pain. So it's clear everybody's saying, look, this isn't working. We need another way. But then they're saying, we don't know what that way is. And I'm saying to you right now, right, to everyone out there, the way is within. The way is to face your own pain.
Well, and I, you know, if I could use myself as an example.
No.
You know, I stepped out of a marriage that wasn't soul feeding, and on many different levels. And I understood that when I did my work on myself and did my healing, that actually, we have to understand that we as human beings are all energy. And think of it like the electric company's energy grids. Think of human beings are like electric company energy grids. Like, we're all connected. We're not separate. And when one person changes their energy in the grid, the entire grid shifts.
And I think that's
that could be for the good or for the bad. And I remember somebody walking up to me going, thank you for doing what you did for all the women who are still in marriages that aren't feeding their soul and aren't in ones that are making them feel like a better version of themselves. And it was like, by me changing it, it energetically opened it up for other people to change it, other women to change it.
Right.
And that's when I really started to understand that we are part of this grid, this energetic grid.
Yes, we are all one. This is the whole concept that we are all one.
Right. I just turned on my light.
That light, man, it's trippy.
I know. I just had to turn on the light because it's starting to get a little dark here in Chicago. I do know it is crazy. But there's so much healing that needs to be had. And I just really, want people to stay in your inside. Like, I'm even watching friends of mine, they're like going, I don't understand this. Why are they doing this? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, if you throw out stuff that's verbally not healthy, that's no better than anyone else throwing something out that's verbally unhealthy. It's like,
it's all projection at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's the old energetic model. It's the duality and the polarity, and we need to move to oneness. Right. And unless we do, no one's gonna heal. Like, and we're not gonna, we talked about, finding our center. It's like, well, build your life from the inside out. And we're all energy, but you know, and you were talking to me earlier about the ancestral lines of abundance. And it's like, well, the opposite of abundance, I really feel like, you know, even though everything really feels like it's falling apart right now, it's actually really coming apart to come all together, because so many of us have been screaming for change.
Right.
Like all of our systems need change. Again, it's just coming in a major, major fire hose right now, and it's not coming in packages.
Well, but that's how it needs to come at this point. And so astrologically speaking, if I might throw some astrology in there so people can sort of be able to take a step back and look at this from a more objective perspective in a bigger picture, right? Right now, we have Saturn that's in, you know, what's up, Houston? We're getting ready to go into Saturn in Aquarius, right? The last time Saturn was in Aquarius was during the Rodney King riots. Okay, so this is what brings up this humanitarian, and then that deep state. They're always plotting to keep us divisive, right? And back then we didn't have the outlets to connect to everyone like we do today. Now also we have Pluto in Capricorn, and the last time Pluto was in Capricorn was during the American Revolution, when we actually founded the United States of America, right?
Right.
And we're coming into our Pluto return, the first ever in this country. So the Pluto return means it's bringing up all this unconscious, like dense vibrational stuff that is corrupt, that is manipulative, power hungry.
Can I ask you a question?
Feel free.
It's one thing for us to know that all these shifts are coming, but how do we navigate through these astrological charts of things that, you know, the energy of like the Roman Empire, when all that shifted, and
right.
You know, so it's one thing to get that on an intellectual level and download that information to us. How do we best navigate that, right? Like that's the question I keep raising, because I'm watching people attack people on Facebook Live and I'm going, you know, you guys, I'm sending you more love. Like I just keep telling everybody, I'm like, more love and compassion. I don't know. I mean, like, what are you seeing? Like, what's actually gonna help people get to the next place? The positivity of it.
Well, the fact is that our like you were saying earlier, our external environment is a projection of our internal environment. So this is bringing out to light all the internal stuff that the collective unconscious is dealing with. So there's a lot of people out there that are not looking within. And the message that the universe is sending to everyone is you guys need to look within. But instead of looking within, they're projecting and going outside, because that's the energy that is feeding.
So to some of us, looking within could feel like very esoteric, right? Looking within, what the hell are you talking about, looking within, right?
Well, yeah, good point. So it means that, you know, those nasty, gooey feelings that you don't want to feel, that means that you have to sit with those feelings. And instead of trying to run from it or avoid it or say, I don't feel good or right here, and that is your fear. And so we run from the fear and try to make a statement out in the world, when actually the answer is to sit with it and ask it questions, learn from what it is trying to teach us. It's going within. When we go within and we do the healing. And I think that's why right now the agenda that is going on, you know, behind the scenes here, that is trying to create this dystopia, which I believe is actually going to inadvertently create a utopia in the future.
You sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Utopia, what? Help me out here.
Okay, so this is a psycho-spiritual war that we're in, right?
Right.
So we have two different vibrations, essentially at the very core, two different vibrations that are button heads. We have fear and love. Okay?
Right.
So these powers that be are attempting to instigate the fear-based vibration. And that's what's getting a lot of the attention, is trying to pull us in this fear-based vibration. Now, when we go within and we face that fear, we are no longer susceptible to that conditioning, right? So we stand in our love. But now self-love doesn't necessarily mean that we just sit back and say, oh, I'm just in you, love, peace, you know, meditate. No, self-love means boundaries. It means like, no, motherfucker, if you try to violate my boundaries, I'm going to love myself and protect myself and my family, And I'm not going to let
well,
you.
and can we talk about that? So like so many of us are taught that when we self-love, it's like selfish, right? Especially, you know, I grew up Catholic, like that was considered really selfish to do self-love because you were supposed to give to everybody else before you did for yourself. Now I have learned the hard way that that is half-ass backwards. I'm like that. Really, it's the whole thing of put your own oxygen mask on first.
Exactly.
And then you can help that many more people. And I have come in my own experience to learn that that is exactly the way that we all need to live. And it's not about being selfish. It's about going, if you do the most self-loving thing, self-caring thing, then the universe, God, whatever your belief system is, because I believe it's all semantic, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
That if you take care of yourself, the rest will be taken care of for you.
Exactly.
And it'll all align into what is.
Right. And that comes down to faith and trust. And true faith and trust is not self-limitation. And when you put others before yourself, that is a self-limiting belief system, which is unfortunate that many religions sort of teach that. But that is also a subjective perspective. Okay. Now, there's a fine line between serving yourself in order to be a full cup to serve others and then being an empty cup and sucking yourself dry to help others based on compensation. And the difference is a love vibration versus fear vibration. But in order to understand that within our consciousness, we have to go within our own self and understand that. And it takes facing that pain. And that's just the bottom line. So everybody that's out there expressing their pain out in the world, that is not the answer. The answer is to face the pain within. Now, I believe that a lot of ancient traditions have, over the last decade or so, have come back.
It kind of resurged, right?
It has definitely resurged. And I think that it's happened.
Kind of showing up like yoga and meditation. Like, when I tell people that my kids meditate at the private school that's run by Sacred Heart, you know, it's not directly with the Archdiocese of Catholic, but it's an independent school. And I'm like laughing. I'm going, oh yeah, they have singing bowls, meditation. And I'm like, but I love that because it's the integration. You know, I was drawn years ago to the work of Deepak Chopra and Ayurvedic because Ayurvedic lifestyle, which actually it's interesting. I have a friend of mine who lives in our building. They own property in India. They're, you know, being Indian and India's numbers from a virus perspective are nowhere near where you'd imagine them to be.
Right. Same thing with Japan.
And she swears that it's because of living this old ancient lifestyle.
Right. Right.
Which I find absolutely fascinating.
Me too. Like, and the proof is in that experience, right? Like, so
totally.
Like, we need to look at these things and we need to look at those experiences as the experts, as opposed to the so-called experts that are saying one thing and doing another. Because it's, unfortunately, we are bombarded with propaganda because of money and greed and power.
Well, and I think one of the, go ahead, sorry,
and that is what's getting exposed and expunged, so to speak, out right now.
Yeah. Well, and really going back to taking care of self, right? And you know, and one of the biggest steps that I work with people on is that if you want to get out of the situation that you're currently in, you really have to dream the next right step. 100%. Like, you have to dream what it is. Do you want to share with everybody what you did this week? Me? What did you put in your house this week?
Oh, my daughter's bed?
Yes!
Oh, yes.
Like, that's a great example. Amongst all the shit going on, your heart's desire, share that if you would, please.
Sure, yeah. My mission in life is to be the best father to my daughter that I can be. And, you know, I'm going through a very unfortunate, conflicting situation right now. So I'm holding the space in my heart that I will have my daughter with me. And therefore, I'm being as if I'm acting and feeling and experiencing in my mind, in my heart, and in my physical reality. So I got a bed for my daughter, and I set it up in my house so she has a place to stay. And I have a picture of her and I right above her bed, and I bought a dream catcher for it, and I'm just setting it all up like all nice and cute. So that, you know, I know that she's going to be there, and I just hold that intention constantly. And, you know, like, and it's important to do that with whatever that we want to manifest in life. And Julie, that you taught me that in a major way. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, and it's about, you know, if I could share a story, I had this one client years ago. She was single, partner at a law firm, and, you know, she was that uber responsible financial person. You know, she bought her first condo, stayed in it. It was a 1 or a 2 bedroom, and she almost had it all paid off when I met her, and she was pushing 40 years old, but always wanted to get married, you know, but she just did her whole career, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, what are you doing in a 1 or 2 bedroom condo if you want a family? And she's like telling me her dream, and her dream was the backyard with kids running around, big house. Right. And I go, you have enough money, go buy the house. And she's like, she came back to her appointment a couple weeks later. She's like, my mom thinks you're nuts. Because the fiscal responsible thing to do is to go buy a house in the city of Chicago. Do you know she bought that 4-bedroom house within 6 months of closing on that place? She met a guy who had custody of his 3 kids, and then a year later got married, and then they had their own baby when she was 41 years old. It's like when you visualize and you create the space. But I can tell you, if you're letting all the anger and the rage and the sadness jam up your space, you're not going to create jack shit for your tomorrow. No. You are not going to create any of the desired tomorrow.
And I think that's a really core message that we need people to understand, is that, you know, we're being bombarded right now with all this propaganda and information that is putting this anger and this hate and this separation in our hearts, and we cannot let that take over. We have to come back to center and create that vision that we want, and just keep bringing ourselves back over and over and over again.
So if you look at COVID put people through anxiety and fear, right? Like that just dominated everything about everybody, everything. Right. You know, and now it didn't turn out as bad, and I get it's not over, but wasn't as bad as what they thought. But maybe
not near as bad.
Maybe because it wasn't. Like, and whatever the reason is, like, don't jam yourself up with all these, you know,
what if scenarios
why you feel that it's happened, because those may or may not be true, but they're surely taking up real estate in your head, right? And so it went from fear and anxiety then to, oh my God, my money, and am I going to get laid off, and the financial crisis now? And so it amplified the fear and anxiety, and everybody's not enough button, and I'm not worthy button, because am I going to be the one on the chopping block at work? Am I not going to keep my job? To now it's all this fear, anger, rage, and sadness. It's like we are going through the whole spectrum of shitty, low vibration emotions.
Right.
And this is exactly the vibrations all the way across all of these that we need to release as a society. We need to feel those feelings so we can get busy doing all the high vibrational oneness, love, compassion, and get back to living lives that we love. And exactly. And actually, let me correct myself. We're not getting back to anything that we had. There is nothing that we had that is going to come back. Right.
But deep underneath all that stuff in our hearts, we're exploding into a deeper, more abundant version of ourselves, really. Because if we come from that place, right, that spectrum of emotions, eventually it's got to go beyond that threshold to the love and the joy and the happiness and the peace and all that fun stuff, right?
Yep.
So that inevitably, with everything that's going on, it has to happen that way.
Yes.
And as that happens, and you know, I've been looking at the astrological aspects coming up in the next 10 years, which I'm going to make a video on that. Dude, in 5 years, we are going to be so much more telepath, like our extrasensory perceptions are going to be on some next level shit, let me tell you. we're going to be able to do this just sitting there and looking at you, and you're going to know what we're thinking. Like telepathy is going to be on, like, even people that are not conscious are going to hear it, feel it, and see it.
Yeah, because we're going from the place of the 5 senses, so now 12 senses have been opened up energetically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you know, one of the best teachers on that is Sonia Choquette. You know, I don't know, Sonia Choquette. Yeah, she's a Hay House author that's got like 20 plus books, but it's all about all those senses. And there's multiple teachers about it, but
yeah, of course.
She's just one that, you know, I knew her coming from Chicago, and she was born and raised in Chicago. And so I'm just very familiar with her work. But if we really need to pay attention to this, because, you know, like there's no way that you can follow those other senses if you're jammed up with your low vibrating emotions. And
yeah, exactly. That's what blocks all this abundance.
Right. So like I have decided, like the last few days, I've stayed in my house so that I can create my safety zone to stay open, because you can't really stay open and heal if you're in all the craziness.
No.
Like, I was one of 12 children. I know what it's about to be around craziness. Like that was like the mosh pit of children. You know, it was like,
the mosh pit. I mean,
we had WWF in the living room because we'd tag each other in and out because we had so many of us. And then God help if somebody actually farted and yelled doorknob, because they got to get punched until you grabbed a doorknob. Like that's what my brothers always did. But sorry, I digress. So my point is that, you know, we really just know when you need to protect your energy.
Right.
And know when you need to just go inside, and know when you need to, you know, just really trust that inner knowing. And you can't do it if you're plugging into all the media and all everything. It's like, you're like, well, but I have to like get, you know, caught up on things. I need to know what's going on for my safety. Like, you know what? I don't.
Right.
I don't.
But you know what?
I looked and I saw it was
also another side to that too. There's also another side of that too. Like you have to go within and be centered and keep yourself protected. However, if you see some shady shenanigans going on, if you see something that's not right, just looking the other way and, you know, like I don't want to be a part of that. No, you need to speak up and actually like call people out on this, because if you just let it be okay for people to do the wrong thing, then that is like just, you know, being passive aggressive and sort of being guilty by association.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a balance, right? Like there's this fine line, you know?
Right.
So well, and from what I understand from the June astrological chart, there's going to be more examples to come. Like this is not going to be the last thing that comes out of left field.
We're actually only just coming into the beginning of this transformation. So it's going to get a lot more wild. Like the world is going to look very different in the coming years. I'm not going to lie, but I believe that it's going to look a lot better. Just we have to get over this hump, and essentially the peak of this is this energy is going to happen between 2022 and 2024. So this is not going away, guys. Like, but the good thing is, all right, when we look at like the positive aspects of it, is like different things are going to become more important than money. Because so wealth is going to be more about bartering. It's going to be more about like coming together with your soul family. Like say, for instance, you know, like, and you're already seeing it, like people groups, like soul groups are coming together in a much stronger way, right? So say like you have a friend that's having some severe, you know, like, I don't know, physiological issues. Well, then we're going to be like, okay, well, the person in our community, like, here's a doctor, here's a chiropractor, here's a, you know, like a performance, you know, enhancement specialist. Let's go over there, work together. What is your special gift? What is your skill? Right. And we're going to be sharing skills and knowledge and wisdom more than, because that's going to end up becoming more valuable than actual physical money. Now we're still going to have a form of currency, but the currency is not going to be so dominant in our culture anymore. It's going to be more about, you know, trading goods and services than it is about money. So well, I think
and honestly, I really feel like nobody really truly knows, right? Because it's going to be designed somewhere in the truth in between all that, because we're all putting parts of collective consciousness in, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be interwoven. Everything that we're talking about will be interwoven. And I'm the money chick. You know, I am really clear that there's some form going on right now that, and I haven't been able to pinpoint it exactly, but there is some form of us going back to the gold standard, that there's something in play here. Yeah. I am watching things that, you know, JFK wrote a document that would put us back to a global reset on our financials. And I'm seeing some of those behaviors happening that are telling me that a sort of version of that is at least occurring right now. And and I'm watching all these analysts go, every single one of us from last night. Now I'm a planner, not an analyst, but I was watching the futures markets last night, and I talked to other analysts today. Every single one of us thought that we're going to wake up to the market being terrible.
Yeah, so
it's the exact opposite.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that, because I don't know a whole lot about the stock market, but you know, like you said, you're the money chick. So what does it mean that the stock market hasn't crashed yet? Because you would think with everything going on that it would have crashed.
Well, so this wasn't a financial crisis, it was a health crisis.
But wouldn't the health crisis and all the like millions of jobs lost, wouldn't that create a problem?
But that's a ripple effect from the health crisis.
Okay.
And we just, you know, we're going to see in this quarter that GDP decline is going to be gross domestic product decline is going to be between 30 to 40%, which are depression-like numbers.
Okay.
But here's the big difference that I want everyone to hear loud and clear.
Okay.
That even though they're depression-like numbers, the government responded in this downturn completely opposite the way they did in the Great Depression. Which means that in the Great Depression, they raised interest rates and pulled money out of the economy.
Why the hell would they do that?
Because back then, they thought it was the right thing to do. It was 90 years ago. They didn't know any better, right?
Okay.
We've learned that they did the complete opposite side this time. They decreased interest rates and they pushed money into the system. So now what it boils down to is all that money that was put into the system was to create a bridge for us to get through this shaky period.
Okay.
The question is, was the bridge built big enough?
Okay, interesting.
That is really what is the unknown factor here. And so if you think about unemployment benefits were established until like the end of July, that's how they were extended, right? And so we'll see how much that bridge, but as we keep getting hit with other things, I would be shocked if that bridge is going to be enough. I really would be.
Yeah.
But we collectively can make choices like, you know what, still be productive, still like work from home if that's where you feel safer, and still make things work. What's been very interesting over the last couple of weeks is that what created this, so we went down 34% and then we went up about 30%. And so there are very few companies that created that upswing, and most of them are technology driven companies.
Of course.
But what we saw over the last couple of weeks is that more than just technology companies were having that upswing. So that shows a good sign, but I also think we're probably going to test the lows again. It's going to be like a W.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so just know that it's going to be a roller coaster. And to your point, the peak of the roller coaster is probably not till 2022 at the earliest.
Yeah.
Right? So it sounds goofy, but just put your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Keep processing what's coming up for you so you can get to the next place in your own development and your own growth and evolution on a personal level, while showing up as much as you possibly can in a positive way and in a loving way, in a compassionate way, because this is like a zit that is popping. It's just going to keep squeezing. It's going to be
what was that, Dr. Squeeze or Dr. Juice or something like that? Hey, real quick, I got some people asking, where can people find you for financial consulting stuff?
Well, you could certainly go to juliemurphy.com and just send us a little email. My company is jmcwealth.com is my financial company.
Okay. Yeah, you know, guys, if you have any specific, if you want, if you didn't get that, just message me and I will connect you with, oh, Dr. Pimple. Yeah, there's a big Dr. Pimple popping contest going on right now in the collective unconscious. It is getting nasty. You're welcome, Jackie.
Well, and absolutely, if anyone's got questions, you know, I mean, ask us the questions. You know, we want to hear your questions.
Absolutely. Man, now I have a visual of that show. Have you ever seen that show, Dr. Pimple? Oh my God, it's freaking gross. I like how does stuff get caught in the body? Like it's just so disgusting. Ugh.
You sound like a body perfectionist.
Well, I guess I kind of am a little bit.
Your health or your wealth.
Yeah, right. So, guys, questions. What do you?
Yes, everybody. If you guys got questions for us on your health or your wealth and how to deal with some things going on right now, we're here.
Yeah, everybody. I think everybody is getting my visual from my energy.
Ew.
Yeah. So you know, we are watching the fall of, I guess you could say, an empire. Okay, but this empire was built on faulty ground, or at least it was. Maybe it was.
I wouldn't say.
Okay, hold on. Let me retract that statement. Let me pull it back.
Come on.
It was built with good intentions, but it was corrupted over time. Okay, it was corrupted through greed and power and money and all this interesting stuff that is just really disturbing to think about. But now it is being purified, it's being cleansed, and we are coming into a much higher vibration. And what we're seeing is what has been going on underneath the surface, but nobody has been dealing with. It's been suppressed for generations.
Yeah, and you know what? It's just time for it all to come up and heal. That's really what it boils down to.
Exactly.
Because, you know, we have to make the choice of how we want our energy to be spent, because we all have our own amount of energy that we can use in the world on a daily basis. And the question is what do you want to use it on? Do you want to use it on fear, anxiety, anger, whatever that is? It's your choice. You can use it. Or do you want to, you know, Lori Lightfoot is the mayor here in Chicago. And she said the other day in her press conference, she said, I am so sad to see people of my same skin color who are using this unbelievable strong energy for this radical, like, demolishing of our city. And she said, well, not in a place of judgment. She goes, can we please channel this and use it for radically good things to do for this city?
Right.
And I thought that was the most beautiful statement that she made. And I didn't get it exactly right in how she said it. So please don't be offended by anybody who hears it, because I'm not perfect.
But have you also seen the videos of the people that are just volunteering to clean up the places? Like, that is a beautiful sign that the people that are really out there to just have a voice and that are trying to do the right thing, they're showing up, and they're showing up in the right ways. It's just the process initially is being corrupted through these very dark entities.
It's messy, right?
It's messy. But I mean, look, love is messy. Life is messy.
Remember, okay, because so we can say corrupted, but we can also say that people have choice.
100%.
Like, you choose to follow whatever it is that you choose to follow.
Absolutely.
And you know, I grew up pretty poor and on food stamps and stuff like that. And I made choices. And I'm a woman who owns a finance business today.
Right.
And like, talk about being in the old boys club, right? I have a vagina and I'm a woman and I'm in finance. Like,
if you have a vagina, my man, I mean, I guess nowadays you could, but
maybe. I guess those three didn't really go. But you know what I'm saying? But I chose that. Like, and I chose to be in what made me feel good on a soul level. Like, right. I know I'm bringing a femininity to finance that has never been there before.
Yeah.
That it's about real wealth. To your point earlier, that, you know, there's going to be more to wealth than just money tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And it's about sustainable happiness around the board. You know, this is what's important. You know, I don't want to get on a soapbox, and I don't want to judge people. I just really, you know, want to continue to be a bright light so that more of us let our light shine, because when you do the most self-loving and self-caring things, you become a bright light because you're feeding your heart and your soul. Amen. And then that's catchy.
Right.
It's catchy, just like misery loves company. Yeah, right? It's the same kind of attraction power, and actually more powerful, because people are more drawn to light than they are to dark. But we individually all need to choose to be the bright light. To your point, you know, don't sit on the sidelines and go mute. Like, be the happy person. Say hello to people. You know, like,
be the change.
Call up your friends. Call them up and tell them you love them. Like, all of that is vibration, and it's positive energy, and you know, whatever that is. And like, whenever I see all this conflict going on Facebook, I enter the feed and I go, I'm sending you all so much love. Yeah. You know, because I'm just like, enough. When do we stop pulverizing each other?
Right.
Have your voice, have your opinion, have your statement, be heard. Don't be a victim.
Right.
But do it with love and compassion, not pulverizing.
Exactly.
You know? I don't know.
Yes, you do know.
Life's too short.
I agree. I agree. You know? We are, in the grand scheme, we are a blip in the universal time frame.
We really are.
And of course, we come here to learn certain things, to process, to grow. And I believe that especially right now, you know, our souls agreed to come here at this point in time because it knew what we were getting into.
Right.
And there's so many people that have gone through so much just struggle and trauma and suffering and pain. Yet the people that have been through the most pain, the most suffering, are the ones that are the brightest lights. Because once you experience that, you're able to experience the opposite. And that is what essentially the Christ consciousness coming back of the fifth dimension, that is what this is all about. It's about being the change, being love, and representing that which you want to see in the world. Right? So think about that. When you're going out in the world, are you being an example of what you want to see?
Yes, exactly.
Right? And that's what it comes down to.
It's like I had a client say the other day, like, I always tell them, like, envision your new life and everything. And we were first at home under COVID in the house. It's funny, I keep wanting to say house arrest.
Well, it kind of was, right?
Because it kind of felt that way to me on a certain extent, because I'm an extrovert, you know, but I'm like, no, quarantine. But I have this wall when I wake up in the morning. I have a vision board wall that is there. And I look at it every day, and I was sitting there doing one of my Facebook Lives, and I'm like, here's the life I envision while you're home. You know, start to create that. Start to, like, tune into what it is, the world that you want to create. I've helped so many people quit their jobs since this quarantine started, and they're like, but what about my paycheck? I'm like, what about the fact that you're going to have a heart attack because you hate your freaking job? It's like,
hello.
I'm like, come on, man. And then somebody told me, like, well, my wife just took you off our Christmas card list. I was like, that's okay. If I saved your life, I don't care if I get your Christmas card.
Right, absolutely.
I'm like, come on. Like, and you know, ladies, I can say this because I'm a chick. Lay off the guys if they want to make a change in their life to feed their heart and soul. It's the females' fear that, and the men just go, I just want her to be happy, and I'm just going to, happy wife is a happy wife. Happy life. That's the biggest line of crap I've ever seen. Because the only way she's going to be happy, and the only way she's going to be happy long run is if your heart and soul as the husband is fed along the way. Exactly. And now she may not be aware of that because she's stuck in her own shit. But I get that, because if you talk to my ex-husband, he'd be like, you know, right. Like, us chicks all do it on some level, but you know what? You got to feed your heart and soul. You got to, you know, men provide for their families at the cost of their own souls. And that has got to stop.
I agree.
Because 50% of my male clients between 55 and 65 years old have developed cancer around their hip area.
Oh, wow.
50%.
That's scary.
And if you ask Deepak Chopra, he says that a cancer cell develops because that cell has lost its sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And so it is so important for us to really take this time to really evaluate, like, what do we want now? This isn't about being under house arrest or being told you can't have stuff. This is about take this opportunity to decide how you truly want to create the life that you really, truly want to live long run.
Mm-hmm.
To your point, the astrological chart shows what you choose this month creates the trajectory of the rest of your life. Right.
And the how that is going to show us this month is it's going to be it's everything that is blocking you in your life is going to be right in your face. And are you going to choose to, you're not going to get around like, oh, hey, no, you're either going to run away from it and suppress yourself and create dis-ease in your body and mind, or you're going to face it and go through it. There is no gray area anymore. It's either you go through it or you degenerate. That's it. That's where we're at. And this is the real splitting of consciousness, like in the collective consciousness in this world. Are you going to go towards a dystopia or the utopia?
So it's literally physical deterioration.
Yes. Yes.
And it's all vibration.
It's all vibration. And, for generations, it's been energetic deterioration, like suppression, or just like settling, things like that. Okay. But now it's at the point where the vibration is raising too high. The physical body cannot handle the separation and vibration anymore. You can only be so far out of alignment. And that on top of everything else that's going on, we've hit a boiling point, right? So it's like the frogs that have been sitting in the water's boiling now. You're either going to get out or you're going to sit in there and let it fry you.
And then we're going to have frog legs.
Yeah. Ugh. I'm not a fan.
Me neither. No, I mean, I'll just sorry. I just really hope and trust that people will just choose to love themselves more.
I hear you. And so, and everybody out there has an opportunity. Like the universe, it gives us opportunity over and over and over again. And I was actually talking to one of my people in the opportunity community earlier, and I had this vision come into my mind. It was going on. It's like a game of Red Rover energetically, right? So we pick these sides, and it's like at the core or the leadership of these sides is the fear and then the love, or the deep state and whoever, right? So now that we made these choices, there's almost like this standoff, right? But there's still people that are not fully sure or undecided. A lot of it is going with what's known or what's comfortable, especially if they haven't faced their own stuff inside them, right? So the light workers, like the love vibrations there, saying, hey, Red Rover, come on over. We want you here, but you're going to have to face your stuff. Like that separation is the cognitive dissonance. And when they run over, they're going to have to run through their fear, right? Or if they want to stay there.
Run through it, that means feel your fear.
Exactly. Feel it and learn what it's trying to teach you. And that is the bottom line. So stop projecting your own fear on other people and start
in your shit.
Face your shit.
Well, and it's just sitting in it and feel it and know what it is and go through it. And it's okay to be part of the mystery. It's okay that we don't have all the answers. Right. I really find it interesting that so many of us have tried to control every ounce of our lives.
Yeah, right now
we have these, and you're talking to a financial planner, and I'm a planner, right? So I get it. Like my left brain has hijacked much of my life, but the more I relax into just allowing life and to be open to receiving, just work on me, everything will fall into place. Work on me, everything falls into place. Work on me, everything falls into place.
Right.
it's really true on how that all happens, because, you know, and we've talked before how you've helped me so much this year in terms of from a health perspective, you know?
Yeah.
By the way, I think I'm going to wake up tomorrow at the lowest weight I've been in 14 years, by the way.
What? Yeah. That is fantastic. I'm so proud of you.
But
14 years, guys.
I
crap.
I know. And who knew it took a bunch of colonics? No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, it was all those emotions that I didn't feel all those years.
Right.
That it's really interesting. Once I have a bout of feeling a bunch of emotions, and you told me this was going to happen, but you telling me is a whole different thing than experiencing it.
Of course, it always is.
So I'm on this plateau, and then I feel a bunch of feelings, and all of a sudden it's like, whoop, I dropped 7 to 10 pounds. And then I'm at a plateau, and then I feel a bunch of feelings. It's like, whoop, and then all of a sudden I dropped another 7 to 10 pounds. It's like crazy.
Isn't that fascinating how that works?
Absolutely fascinating. And I just keep showing up and keep doing the stuff that I'm doing. And it's like one step at a time.
Yeah.
And it all happens. It all comes into fruition, and it's all good. And, you know, again, those are the kinds of things that if you're trying to work on your own stuff, like go inside, do that stuff, and just be with it, you know? It's not easy. This is not. No, but it gets easier.
Of course. Absolutely.
Like once you start taking some of those steps and feeling those feelings, then more of those doors open.
Yeah, for sure.
And I really feel like so much of what people are feeling today, you said it earlier about the ancestral lines.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That we have been passed down. You know, so I have Irish heritage. There's a lot of struggle in the Irish heritage, a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And victimhood, right? Victim, scarcity, you know, not very abundant. Maybe the most fun-loving people you'd be around, but all kinds of other underlying shit right under the surface.
Right.
And every culture has their thing, right? Nobody's exempt from it.
No,
and we all have these patterns that have created suffering cycles.
Absolutely.
You know, these suffering cycles of, you know, some of the suffering cycles from my past come from a religious background. Some of it comes from, you know, being a woman in my family, and that's been passed down for generations.
Right.
You know, and some of it
are very good for being like alcoholics, drunks. Like it's cool to be a drunk or an alcoholic.
Well, and the thing is that, so what is that? Alcohol is just a coping mechanism.
Right.
Because you're not told, you're supposed to chalk it up and not feel your feelings. Right.
And it's like,
so where you feel your feelings. Right. So then you feel your feelings while you're drinking liquor.
Right.
Because that's how you're getting it out of your system. Like, and I don't care if you're choosing liquor, food, smoking, drugs, could be an addiction to work. I mean, they're addiction, right? But it could come in more positive versions and more negative versions. And
absolutely.
And the way out of all of that is learning to cope and feeling your feelings.
You just gotta feel it. That's it.
And society is feeling that in droves these days.
Oh yeah. And most people don't know how to handle feeling their own shit. So they're freaking out. Yeah. So really the key is, it's interesting because if you look around, you see the people that are doing okay right now, they're the ones that have been doing the inner work. Everyone that I know that has been doing the inner work, they're like, oh, I surprisingly feel good. And I'm cool. Like good things are happening.
But 5 years ago for them, it was turmoil.
Oh, it was absolute hell and mayhem.
Absolutely.
So, because there's no more suppression. So it's like we already cleared out all the stuff that everybody else is dealing with now. So we're seeing that it's the people that have not dealt with their stuff that are just losing their noodles. And it's unfortunate, but this is, I really do feel that this was predestined. It was pre-planned.
Well, when the fact that you're saying that the astrological charts are aligning like during Roman times, like,
oh yeah, history
does on some level repeat itself.
It does until, and I sort of feel like each time, like we grow a little, we learn a little, just like you were saying, like during the Great Depression, we didn't know any better. So the way that the government responded was just based out of ignorance. And now everything that we're seeing out there is ignorance. However, right now that we're seeing that there's a larger portion of people that are not ignorant. And that's what is changing the game right now. That's why the plan is not working, to keep us controlled and held down.
Right.
Hallelujah for that.
It's about now let's choose to come from a place of empowerment.
Yes. True empowerment.
Yeah.
Authentic empowerment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Exactly. Super important. Super, super important.
Very, very much.
Well, if anyone's got any last minute questions for us, now's the time. We got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, bring it on, guys. And just remember that we are here every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and I don't know London time. But we're here every Monday to talk to you guys about health and wealth and the energetics behind it, because really at the core, it's all energy. And when you understand the interconnectivity of it all, okay, then you understand and realize how to process it and become abundant in your health and abundant in your wealth. And especially in these changing times, the fundamental purpose and message here is that we must be authentic and create our own world within and face our own stuff. Oh, in Australia, it's 11 a.m. right now. So I don't know, Australian time is that. I don't really know what that means. How do you equate that? But thank you, Daly. I appreciate that, brother.
That's on my bucket list. I want to go to Australia.
Oh yeah, I'd love to go to Australia. Take out those waves.
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and I certainly, you know, if you're in that place where you really want to start to draw that new canvas, you know, my book, Awaken Your Wealth, really helps you to walk through the questions.
Excellent book.
In terms of, you know, how do you want to design your work life? How do you want to design your family life? How do you want to design your relationships and your family life? You know,
Right.
and your financial life. Like it's about, but it's coming from a heart and a soul perspective, not from this place that we've created that was supposed to be happiness. But I don't know too many people now that they're stepped out of their lives that they can really say that they're super happy. I see astronomical amounts of shifting and changing happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so if you need some help and support, you know, my book, Awaken Your Wealth, is out there and you can get it on Amazon.
Get on Amazon?
Yep. Or you can go to juliemurphy.com and I have a whole bunch of other tools, you know, to help you. And you know, now you can share all your opportunity community. That's a tool for everybody too, right?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah. So if you have more questions, guys, you know, you can DM me and you can also visit my website. Please go check out spiritualbodybuilder.com. Join my opportunity community. You can download my free ebook, 25 Steps to Navigate the Awakening Process. We're all here to help, guys. So, you know, let's all work together and build this beautiful community. All right.
And I want to send out so much love to everybody, and especially those who are struggling the most right now. My heart goes out to you, and we are here to support you because I know that's how we are meant to be serving.
Absolutely. Me too.
Love you all. See you next Monday.
Peace out, guys.
Bye.